everybody. We are back. We hope you can all see and hear us. Let us know if you can't or if there's any issues. This is episode number 8, and I'm here with Edie, as always, hosting Ed Video's new web show, Open Circuit, broadcasting here from our super secret location at 404 York Road, Guelph, Ontario, Guelph.
You said Guelph, Ontario, Guelph.
Guelph, Ontario, Guelph. Just to really put that in there twice to make everyone feel happy. So how is it going today, Edie?
It's good.
Yeah? Yeah? Are you excited about the show today?
Yeah.
Yeah? How come?
Because it's my mom's birthday and she's on it today.
That's true. We'll introduce your mom, Jenn E Norton, media artist extraordinaire, who's turning 40 years old today. Very special day. Let's show maybe like a little taste of what we have prepared. Let's take a look here. Open Circuit special birthday show with Jenn E Norton. And why don't you play some keyboards through this little silly intro that we have? Jen will be celebrating with us. Prepared these photos of her today. This is the best we can do, as it said in that title. Originally we had some other plans, but they will maybe have to wait till next year, I think, when she turns 41. So let's just talk a little bit about what's going to be coming up. I should update this because it's still showing yesterday and the day before's show. So tomorrow we have a great guest, Jose Andres Mora, amazing media artist, making some incredible kinetic video installations. Want to talk to him about his ideas and how he accomplishes these things that are incredibly difficult to make. He'll be joining us. And then the next day, this Friday, April 17th, Ivana Dizdar, talking about, in particular, 2 of her incredible videos, one called Bidding War and another one called IDP Africa. Next week, on Monday, we have Tasman Richardson joining us, talking about his incredible video work. The day after, the great Orbax, who will be joining us. He lives right here in Guelph, talking about some of his science and circus projects. A very interesting person. Next day, Amy Lockhart will be talking to us from Chicago, where she lives right now, about her incredible art and animation work. The day after that, Fez Stenton joining us, talking about his video work and his work with his company Occupied VR. Then, special guest on April 27th, all the way from Chiapas, Mexico, Alejandro Garcia Contreras, giving us a tour of his residency in the jungle there. I'm going to see some amazing things and his incredible sculptures that are all around the grounds. And then, May 1st, Versa from right here in Guelph with their incredible AV act. They're gonna talk about how that came to be, partially involving Ed Video and Kazoo Fest. Special shout out to Kazoo Fest, supposed to start tomorrow, but like everything in the world, delayed, postponed. Hoping to get those musicians and back on the stages as soon as we can. Hopefully, maybe this fall. We're just trying to figure out what we can do given these circumstances. So lots of great things coming up here on Open Circuit. Please join us every weekday at what time?
2 p.m.
Every weekday at 2 p.m. And sometimes we will be here for half an hour, sometimes 45 minutes, sometimes an hour, sometimes even longer. If our guests are really chatty and engaging, we could go for 2 hours, maybe even 3, as long as we're home for dinner, right? That's right. Well, we're very excited for today because it is a happy birthday show for someone who's very dear to both of us here. This would be Edie's mother and my wife, Jenn E Norton. Are you here, Jenny? You'll be the only live The only guest in studio ever. It's tight fit in here. Let's see what we can figure out.
You move down there.
I'll try to slide down as far as I can go, and you slide in too. There you go. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So, how's your day going so far?
It's pretty great, actually. We woke up kind of early-ish because Edie was pretty excited and I had some work to do. And we had some yummy breakfast and I got some work done. And you had school, online classes.
Yeah.
And had some lovely surprises, which was nice.
Aw, well, another lovely surprise. If you look right over there in the comment section, you'll see a bunch of people all wishing you a happy
Aw.
birthday.
Hi, everybody.
So it's
Thank you.
so great to have these viewers here for Jen's birthday. And another year we'll celebrate in real life with people, but for this year, maybe it'll be one to remember.
Yeah, it's definitely unique.
Yeah.
We had plans to actually be in New York right now, and we were hoping to visit some friends there too. And we really are hoping that they're doing well, and yeah, it's kind of an intense time for everybody.
And yeah, it sure is. And that's, I guess, why we're doing this, doing what we can, as a not exactly a substitute for what we could do, but as something positive to do. Yeah, and thanks for watching Edie and our show every day from home. We really appreciate it, and knowing that you're watching.
Well, you two have been doing an amazing job. Edie, you're a great producer, by the way.
Edie does so much here. It's not always obvious. What do you? Yeah, you do these backgrounds. And tell us what we're gonna figure out maybe tomorrow or the next day. We just haven't had time to get it set up, but we're gonna end up with live backgrounds.
Oh yeah, and I'm gonna be on Arena.
You're using Resolome Marina? That's exciting.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna use videos I made, and it's gonna be projected in the background.
Good. I can't wait.
It's gonna be awesome. Get this show up to a higher production level. It's not. We try to do a little every day, and it's not hard with someone as good as Edie helping us out. Yeah, she's been great. I couldn't have done it without Edie for sure. Well, what I'd like to is, even though you're so special to us, we'd like to treat you just like any other guest we have here, artists, and talk about some of your work. So I'd like to start with this video. It's some of Jen's more recent work. It's an animation she made, about a year ago? Let's take a look at this. Oh, here we go. We'll just put the sound for the video on quietly, if it works. There it is, and we'll just talk over that. So, what are we looking at here, Jen? What is this?
Actually, this is kind of a study I was doing. I hadn't been animating for a while because I was working in kinetic sculpture and just shooting video, and I wanted to return and re-familiarize myself with Cinema 4D. So I really just did this sort of as a study.
And what's this video called?
It's called Falling Still. And I was trying to figure out a fun way to play with perspective. She's not actually falling upwards or downwards. The character is still, and it's just the perspective of the camera and the moving frame of reference, which is the stairs in this, that creates the illusion of her either falling or looking at another perspective that she's rising up.
Mm-hmm. And this played, I guess, almost a year ago, last summer here in Guelph, was it? At Renan Isaac's
Yeah, in
gallery?
August. Yeah.
Last August, playing it.
It's on your Vimeo.
And
No,
it's
that's
on.
on
We're
my
streaming it
Vimeo.
right from Jen's Vimeo. Hopefully she doesn't have copyright on it legally, and we're not flagged for it. Hopefully YouTube and Vimeo don't talk to each other about things like that. Yeah, so I really think this is a beautiful animation. I love it. It's sort of like a
I love it too.
yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it really gives you that kind of feeling of falling or floating or both, sort of just being lost, I guess, in a space. And I love the geometry in the background too, and just the way the figure looks with the mirrored texture. So tell our viewers who maybe don't do this style of animation, what is your basic process of how you'd make something like this?
Well, that's a good question. I was actually working with 360 video, and again, I wanted to try to figure out ways that kind of confounded the viewers or the audience's orientation. So, ooh, nice transition there, Scott. I was thinking about different ways to do this. I also made a 360 video of you, Edie, going up and down stairs.
Yeah. I went in this huge circle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we had a 360, sorry, we had a scan of you. That's it playing there.
Let's take a look at that video that Jen was just speaking of.
And, sorry, I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about again? Oh, my process. And so I wanted to see how I could animate somebody within one of these spaces where you lost track of your point of origin. And that was not the 360 video that I made of Edie, which isn't on Vimeo because it's not. It's somewhere else. You could probably find it on my website. You don't need to find it though right now. It's fine. So I just went through these exercises, and the falling still was one of them, as well as the video with Edie. And my process is just kind of like I have an idea or an inkling, and then I try to figure out ways to accomplish that. So, I took the 360, the 3D scan of Edie, and I used Mixamo, which is an Adobe product that allows you to animate characters quickly, like before. And if you want to have a customized movement, you can either do your own motion tracking, or you can animate it using a skeleton system in Cinema 4D. But Mixamo is really fun because there's an online catalog of short movements, and you can apply it to your own animation, and it rigs it quickly, and it does all the weighting pretty well. And so I imported those characters into these animations. With this floppy horse one that we're watching now, I used a jiggle deformer on a model of a horse, and it, with the right turbulence and wind, it gave this sensation of it galloping. And so I just thought that I really liked the movement of those horses, so I kind of put it within the scene.
Wow, I love those floppy horses. I don't know.
I like floppy horses.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Well, let's take a look at one other video here from Jen. This is some documentation of your current show that's about, 2/3 of its way through a Canadian-wide tour of public galleries. Take a look. This is called Slipstream, and I guess it's played at about four galleries so far, and it was supposed to be opening at another one a few weeks ago.
Yes, in Kelowna, the Kelowna Art Gallery. The install team and everybody working there is so amazing. They had completely set it up in the days leading up to the shutdown. So where I was able to see how it looks in the gallery space, and I hope that eventually people will be able to see it when it's safe to come back out again. And then it will be touring to the Dunlop Gallery in 2021, which has also been postponed from 2020 to 2021 because of the pandemic.
And why don't you reach over there and grab that catalog that Edie remembered was here. We'll get ready for when we go back to our camera. But tell us a little bit about the idea of, like, if you were in Kelowna today and it was open and you walk in, what would you see?
Well, you would walk into a darkened gallery space, which you can see in this video that's playing now. And there's 6 flat screens that are arranged in a hexagonal configuration, and on each flat screen there's a mirrored surface, and there's a single source of light which creates a pool of light in the middle of the installation. When you walk into the center, you see your image reflected several times throughout the gallery space because the mirrors are catching one another, and eventually a video emerges of a dancing figure that's traveling along the hexagon in a flurry of silk. And this dance, the type of movement the figure is moving in is reminiscent of Loie Fuller's Serpentine dance, which she was at one time famous for. And the dancer in my work is in Slipstream is performed by Katie Ewald. She's a Guelph contemporary dancer. And Loie Fuller was imitated like crazy, and she grew to be very secretive about her process and her work because when she moved to Paris, she actually had to audition for her own choreography that a colleague had seen in the United States and then performed at the Folies Bergère. And so she had to perform for her own show and eventually got it. But the print was already out, so for a while she had to perform under this other dancer's name. So because she's so often imitated, both on most examples on YouTube and Vimeo that you can find, they're not actually Loie Fuller, they're other dancers. And also her whole thing is like to dematerialize and go through these ephemeral shapes and forms. Like she's a flower, and then she's a flicker of a flame, and then a butterfly. And it's very fluid and always shifting. And I removed the dancer's body sort of as a nod to her kind of disappearing throughout history through other people imitating her whole thing. So yeah, I realize I'm talking too much, and this is supposed to be a light show.
And Edie has something really special here that maybe a lot of people watching don't know about. What is this? This is your catalog for that touring show. So beautiful. It's hard to show exactly to the camera, but there's a gatefold out here.
Yeah, the catalog design is by Kanagawa, and he did such an amazing job. And it was so great to work with Linda and Crystal, the curators of this show, making this catalog. It's my first catalog like this, and I'm so happy to have it.
Well, you
I
should.
have a copy.
You have a copy.
I don't have a
Sure.
copy.
Oh, sorry, Scott. I can only share them with collaborators. Maybe you saw that Edie was in the video. Just kidding.
I saw
I know
that.
Actually,
I saw
Scott helped shoot the Katie's performance with me.
Well, you made an amazing touring project and with a fantastic team around you. Let's talk about this other piece that I really love that Edie also had a lot to do with as well, and you'll see in this documentation. This was in Sarnia about, half a year ago or so, last fall?
Yes, and it was also at Vector Festival in Toronto in the summer.
Yeah.
And I was in
And
that.
you were in it.
So let's take a little quick look at this. We just do our sources dirty here, just straight off of my laptop. No time for proper prep, but let's take a look at this streaming right off of Instagram. What is this project called?
This is Siphonophora. It is comprised of old plastic and inflatables. Actually, the inflatables I made for an earlier project with Steph Yates, which was called Near Fields, and I've reused this over and over again. I'm glad I did because it's a lot of plastic, and it will be shown again in another show that I hope is not going to be postponed if everything aligns. It'll be viewable again in Toronto in the fall. But so this is activated by voice or sound. It works best with voice, and when somebody vocalizes, and especially if they sustain a vocalization, these inflate and move. And oh yeah, and bags come out. And when I started making this, I was really drawn to the fact that siphonophore and pyrosomes kind of resemble plastic and plastic bags, especially the pyrosome. If you can search on YouTube or just through Google, I think that might not be on YouTube actually. There's this video documentation of the rare pyrosome, which looks like a long white tube.
And they found penguins.
Oh yes, that's true. They found one poor fallen penguin inside a pyrosome because what they are is it's a colony bacteria. I'm sorry, Edie's pointing out that people are saying happy birthday, Jen. Thank you. Oh, it's Jessie. I just want to stop for a second and just say hi to everybody. Thank you so much for all your nice messages. So pyrosomes and siphonophores are made up of tons of these tiny creatures called zooids, and they collectively move as one large organism, and they can surpass the size of like a blue whale. And some of them are venomous, and also some of them have bioluminescence. And the association that I've made up in my mind that they kind of look like plastic bags floating in the ocean a little bit also led me to think about the floating plastic catastrophe in the ocean. And I wanted to have some kind of correlation between these two things that had an effect when you interacted with it, because like a siphonophore or a pyrosome, in their individual form, they do not seem like they have such a huge presence, but collectively, when it comes together, it's pretty foreboding that this large organism is making its way through the water, just the way that detritus and bits of plastic thrown into that find their way into the ocean don't seem like a big deal on their own, but when you see them amassed in this huge collection, it's pretty intense, has a big impact.
Well, I think the piece was very intense and had an amazing impact. I think people just loved it. Like whether you're a toddler or a senior citizen, people really responded to it in a way that's not always the case with contemporary art. It was just very fun, very mysterious, very big, and I really do hope it can show again as soon as possible. For a new audience. So let's just keep moving along. We're going pretty quick through Jen's work, but it would be really remiss to not speak about something you've been doing a lot in the last few years, and something you've had some good successes with, I think, because not too many people in the contemporary art world are doing it, and that would be some of your AR work that we'll take a little peek at once again just through your Instagram. So what is this? This is also in Sarnia, but tell us a little bit about how this works with your AR projects.
Well, there's these black and white images that are composite images of schematics of an inventor's work that was maybe overlooked or attributed to somebody else. So in this instance, we're looking at a schematic of a Tesla coil with alternating current wave on top of it. And when we're looking at it through the app, you're seeing the light bulb. And of course, infamously, Thomas Edison and Tesla had a lot of battles with one another, and it kind of originated from Edison taking credit for Tesla's improvement upon the light bulb and a particular aspect of the filament. And then from and Tesla was working for Edison at that point and quit when this happened because he wasn't receiving any of the profits for his invention. And Edison said, "Oh, you must not be familiar with our American sense of humor." So Tesla went to go dig trenches for $2 a day in order to fund his own research, and eventually went on to work for Westinghouse and developed a method for us to receive alternating currents to all of our homes. And we're looking at something else now. I'm going into too much detail. I'm sorry. Edison and Tesla fought for many, many years. This one is about Katherine Johnson, who worked for the NCA, which is now NASA, and she also had to work very hard to get her name on her published texts about orbital paths. So all of these works are about somebody who persevered and pushed through to continue their research despite situations and contexts of duress and oppression. And this one's about Sophie Germain, but maybe I'll just let the video play and you can look at it. And if you're interested, you can look at my website where there's lots of writing about it.
And your website would be www.Jenn, with two N's, Jenn E Norton, JENNENORTON.com.
And maybe you'll notice that Edie is in all of my documentation, and she's been such a wonderful collaborator and assistant, and I'm very, very grateful to her patience.
I am too. She's the best kid around. So why video? I mean, what attracted you to it initially, and why do you still choose to work with it as compared to other more traditional types of art?
Well, I don't know why I became a video artist, except for the fact that everything I did all through school, it didn't matter what subject it was, somehow became a video. And when I made paintings and drawings, I just really wanted to see them move. So I think it has something to do about time and movement that I'm really drawn to. And I love the idea of creating worlds, imaginative worlds that you can share. It's kind of like letting people have a look into your dreams or your ideas that you're unable to communicate verbally. So I think that's why I'm drawn to video and augmented reality and virtual reality.
So what are, from your perspective, some challenges that you might have as a video artist that potentially other artists wouldn't have to suffer through? What are kind of like the things that you have to like really persevere to make happen as a video artist?
Oh, as a video artist, not as an individual?
No,
Okay,
we don't have time for that on the show.
As a video artist, I don't think it's true for everyone, but because I'm often doing things that come from these ideas, that maybe I just have to figure out my way how to get to that place that communicates it best. I have to do a lot of research, and that takes up a lot of time. I find it exciting though, and I keep doing it, so obviously it's something that I'm drawn to. But sometimes I want to do something and then the technology is just becoming available to like the prosumer, and sometimes I'm wrestling against what's possible, how fast your computer can render, or what your phone can process, or sometimes I'm also, when I'm working in kinetic sculpture, I'm like trying to work with things that really, really matter and have to be correct, like currents and wattage and electricity in all regards, and what's best practices or safe practices, and how to ensure that my installations aren't going to hurt anybody. So those are things that keep me up at night.
And then on the other side of the coin, what are some things that are very exciting, I suppose, about working with video, or what are the reasons that you do, uh, work so hard to do things that are very challenging sometimes, or it takes continual research and equipment upgrades and learning?
Um, I really don't know the answer to that question. It's just where I guess I feel like my curiosity leads me to, and I'm happy with how you can share that with people in a way like a video installation can really give other people a sense of what you're doing in an environment, so they can like be in that space, which I love. But yeah, I keep trying to do other things. Like it's like this year I'm going to start drawing again or painting again, and like whoop, keep going right back to video and animation in particular.
Well, so what do you have coming up, or what do you? I mean, with the circumstances of everything, I mean, what are you excited to still be working on, or what are your plans? What are your ideas?
Well, actually, there's several things that have come up um, uh, since this shutdown has occurred. So there'll be an online show that my friend Laura Horn is curating in New York, but it's going to exist as an online exhibition, and that's in a few weeks. I'm working with one of your future guests, Orbax, in the Department of Physics at the University of Guelph to create some augmented reality apps that will be available very soon, I hope. And there's a couple others that I don't think I can totally say right now because they're not completely, it's not, the deal isn't sealed yet, let's say.
But you've signed the NDA.
Well, I'll let everybody know, the people that care, and I can reach through Instagram or something. But
Right. Would you have any advice for people who might want to get into more like digital, like animation, generating characters or scenes and animating them? Like I know that's an it's almost like a lifestyle choice um, to do that. But like how did you figure it out? I suppose.
uh, well, um, I did go to art school, but I didn't actually take very many video classes. I found that I first started working at Trinity Square Video and just kind of played with, I think it was Media 100 that they were using then. And I had a lot of technical difficulties, but I think being unafraid to just try things will get you somewhere to begin with. And eventually, all those failures and weird errors that come up that are so, like you can Google almost everything now, you'll work through it and it will become easier as time goes on. And for animation, I learned it all through video tutorials. I started with Video Copilot and then Grayscale Gorilla, and now there's just so many people on YouTube making tutorials. I think I even followed a tutorial by like a 9-year-old boy with a very cute speech impediment. And it was like, he was working with Cinema 4D, and I can't remember what the tutorial was, but it was still really helpful. So you can learn from so many different people with different backgrounds through the internet.
Right. Yeah. So I always try to ask people overall questions about why art. Like what is it that really pushed you into seriously pursuing it when you're younger? Like I'm very interested in the motivation of artists as a curator. For you, what was it?
Probably that it was my way that I could communicate, but I was sort of just doing it all the time, like somebody else I know who like drew all of her textbooks, and I was just constantly, I like to make things, I like to tell stories, I like to make videos and comic books, and I didn't know I wanted to be an artist until I took a trip to the AGO with my dad when I was a teenager, and I saw a painting by Otto Dix, And there was something about it, Edie. There was something about it that resonated with me. It was whimsical, but there was this like profound melancholy about it, and you felt that it was some kind of parody at the same time. And it's a very eerie painting, and it was functioning on so many different levels for me. And I felt like, oh, you can do this, and you can share this with people. And so for the first time, it became like this could potentially be a viable career, or at least a vocation that you hope becomes viable in doing what you already do. So I was already making things. I just maybe needed some experience. So I guess the answer to that question is I didn't really choose it. I was just sort of already doing it.
Right. It chose you. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Thanks for telling us and our viewers all about your work, and thanks to all of our viewers that are watching live, commenting with their birthday wishes for Edie and I, our very special guest today, Jenn E Norton, who's celebrating her 40th birthday here on our live streaming show. This is the best we can do this year, really.
This is great.
This is great, yeah. You know, if we would have done this last year anyways if we just had the idea, you know. Yeah, is there anything else you'd like to talk about or say?
Yeah, I really want to make a balloon poodle.
Let's go into the birthday side. Enough of this serious art talk. Let's talk about let's not talk about art anymore. Let's see some of these amazing balloon hats that Edie has made.
Who?
Oh my goodness! Wow, thank you.
How's that? Thank you, Edie.
Not too often I have someone else making a balloon hat.
So this is the tutorial portion of this podcast, or not podcast. Oh my gosh, what is this online show? Do we have more balloons, or have they all been used up? Maybe some of you have always wanted to know how to make a balloon poodle, but we're afraid to ask.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll make a balloon poodle on the show?
Yeah, we should do it.
Okay. I'll try my best. It's been a while. Yeah, we just wanted to have some fun for Jen's birthday, do something a little different. Got a lot of great shows coming up in the next week.
Okay, so the person that will be leading this tutorial is not me. You've heard enough from me already, and also I can't really make good ones. They come out as giraffes. And it's not going to be Scott either. This is going to be Edie. Whoa, I just moved the backdrop.
Hey, that can happen on live stream videos, no problem. Doesn't matter. All right, why don't you sit right in here so the camera can see you, and tell our viewers how you might
First,
do
you
something.
pump up the balloon.
Can you get it in the view of the camera? There you go.
So then,
All right. So these are very special balloons, or at least they are when Edie's done with them. So
then you tie it. Then,
It looks like you left a little room in that. Is there a reason? Can you tell?
well, that's
Everybody
gonna
why?
be the tail. And sometimes you go like, you make a bubble. And then you go like,
Oh, you're gonna start. Oh, okay.
that.
That's
So it's like a poodle.
unorthodox style, but I'm into it. What else you got?
Then you go like that. That's gonna be the face. Then you go that again lower, and then those are gonna be paws. And then you do that another time. It's a long neck it has, but
It's one of those tall dogs.
It's half giraffe.
then it looks like that. And now there's not any more space for the tail. But
Just gotta
wow.
improvise.
There you go, everybody. Now you know how to do it yourself.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty great. And why do you like making balloons, Edie?
Because it's fun.
It is fun, especially on someone's birthday, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's super fun.
really fun.
Thank you, Edie.
Yeah, thank you so much, Edie, for that demonstration. Well, I think we've had a great birthday show with Jen. We're gonna.
Oh,
I think. Is there anything else you want to say, Edie?
No.
Well,
Wait, Mom, come into the camera.
Thank you for having me as your guest, and looking forward to seeing all of your other shows coming up.
Thank you.
well, thanks for being on today on this special day for you. We hope, Edie and I really hope that you enjoy the rest of your birthday and the whole next year, and many more after that. And thank you for being such a lovely and wonderful wife and mother, and an incredibly talented artist. Edie and I are both very lucky to have you in our lives, and the whole world is lucky to have you around. So don't stop now. Don't stop being Edie's mom or my wife or a great artist. Just keep going. Okay? Thanks
a lot.
to Edie. Thanks for everyone who tuned in today and commented and wished Jen happy birthday today. And we will be back tomorrow with Jose on Open Circuit Ed Video's daily web show every weekday at 2 p.m. hosted by me, Scott, and my wonderful 9-year-old daughter, Edie, here. Thanks so much.
Goodbye.